Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Sekani, a podcast for people in their 20s who are trying to figure out life and not get lost along the way. Today's conversation is a powerful one about trauma, healing, and finding your voice after difficult experiences. I'm joined by Patricia Ann Grenelle, a retired forensic psychologist with over 40 years of experience working with children and adults, and the author of We Were a Normal Family, a memoir that explores survival, breaking silence, and reclaiming personal power after abuse. Patricia, welcome to Conversations with Sekani. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate being here.
Okay, so yes, Patricia, I just want to give you a heads up, right? We're gonna be diving into your 20s a little bit.
Okay.
All right, so can you take us back to your 20s? What did life look like for you during that time, especially carrying experiences from your childhood?
From my childhood, yeah, I at the age of 6 years old, my brother-in-law started to try to engage me in sexuality. And I was kind of shocked because I didn't know what was going on. And from that time on, he abused me and my sisters. And um, my late sister, Jenny, was very abused, so I dedicated the book to her.
Wow. Hmm. Honestly, I'm so sorry for what happened to you and your sister. So sorry about that. And I want to know how your experience shaped your sense of identity and self-worth in, such age.
I think that it really affected me early on in my life because I had two relationships that ended up in uh, bad situations, and I think that the upbringing that I had created those problems, and I couldn't make sense of the relationships. So I ended up in relationships with men who were users of women and narcissistic abuse um, people. So I divorced those two men, and then I ended up finding my soulmate. So later in my life, I found the I guess the happiness that I was looking for in the beginning.
Okay. I'm glad that you found the happiness, but also it's important to know that there are some people right now that are currently living the experience you had in the past, which is quite sad. And I can't help but think about those people. So, coming from someone who has had those experiences and you were able to come out of it and even, be in a better place now, what advice do you have for those people who are currently dealing with, traumas and dealing with, they are trying to heal from such trauma?
Okay, first of all, I think that they should seek out help, um, ensure whether or not that they're in a situation like that. If they read my book, they'll recognize a lot of situations in there and think, oh gosh, that happened to me too. Um, they need to seek out therapy and be able to figure out what's going on in their life and figure out whether or not they're in an abusive situation. Because I didn't find out until I was 27 years old that I had been sexually abused. So my therapy and everything came later. But I think it's important if people think they're in a situation where there's abuse going on, they need to be aware of it and seek it out and find out whether or not they are in an abusive situation and get out of it. And there are many ways that they can do that. There are different organizations that help people that provide assistance on hotline calls and stuff like that. Like, for instance, every 68 seconds, somebody in the United States is sexually abused.
Hmm.
And that could be a child or an adult or whoever. But that statistic really sticks with me. It seems like it's really heavy duty. So I think it's something important that people need to realize that's going on and begin to help to advocate for the organizations of complex PTSD and RAIN and organizations like that that work to try to keep that from happening.
Mm. Wow, wow. Okay, thank you so much, Patricia, for that one. And yes, I want to talk about now a deep dive into what you're doing now. So you spent over 40 years working as a therapist. What are some of the most common struggles you've seen people face when it comes to trauma?
Well, I've seen kids deal with trauma in their relationships with their parents.
Mm.
I've seen kids who have been beaten. I had one girl that was beaten with an electrical cord by her father, and he thought that was okay because he said that it was his daughter and he could do what he wanted to. So that didn't work out so well as far as I was concerned. And
Wow.
I've had other abusive situations in which I've tried to help people. When I was doing my forensic psychology business, I worked with people who had been basically abused most of their lives, and they were attempting to figure out what was going on and why that those things happened to them. I had one man who was a doctor. He was an ER doctor, and he killed his wife with a baseball bat and a axe. And he had been depressed his entire life, but he didn't realize it. Even going through the process of becoming an ER doctor, he never learned that he was that depressed. But afterwards, after this happened, then he began to learn about it and become more knowledgeable about it. But that was one of the most difficult cases I think that I dealt with.
Mm. Wow. Okay. So, you've mentioned different cases. Which do you think is more predominant, especially among young adults?
Which is more predominant? What is more predominant?
Yes, which of these struggles do you see in mostly young adults, like
Yeah,
people in their 20s, something?
yeah, I think young adults suffer from inability to know what's going on in a relationship. I think that as a very young person, I was not aware of what was going on in my relationships, and I didn't do a good job, I guess, at being a good person in those relationships. And so it was detrimental to me because I continued on that way. And then other relationships were affected by the same situation. So I think that recognizing relationship issues is really important early on.
Hmm. Okay, so basically, it's important to recognize relationship issues, and also it's important to be very, very self-aware before going into any relationship. So you can be able to tell if you're being violated or if you don't like something. Is you can only know that if you are self-aware. So
Right. And know your boundaries.
exactly, and know your boundaries. Thank you so much for that one. And so yeah, talking about your memoir, you wrote we were a nice normal family. And I know it is a very personal memoir for you. So what made you decide to share your story?
I started taking about a year ago, I started taking some classes, excuse me, on the internet. And one of them that I took was write your memoir. And I thought, oh,
Mm,
that sounds interesting. So I let me clear my throat here.
mm,
Um, I started writing, and as I was writing, I was thinking, gee, this is really interesting. And the more I wrote, the more I thought, golly, I have something to say here.
mm,
And I kept writing, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have something here that is important for people to know about. And I felt like it was something that was highly helpful for people to become aware of, and that I wanted to help them find that. And it's funny because my one of my sisters, when I was about three-quarters of the way through the book, she said to me, well, why are you writing that anyway? And I said, well, I said, because, it's important. And she said, well, there's so many people that have had that happen to them. Why are you writing about it? And I said, well, did your abuse affect you? And she said, yes, it did. And I said, okay, then that's the reason I'm writing it, because people have been affected by it and they need to be aware that it's ongoing and that there is something they could do about it.
mm. Wow. Okay, thank you so much for that one. I feel like that would, encourage more people to speak up, right? Because most people that are currently probably going through something or have gone through something, they are so afraid of, speaking up or even coming out of what they are going through. So your story is one that inspires people to want to, heal, right? Heal properly. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So, for someone listening who may be struggling but hasn't spoken about it yet, what is a safe first step they can take?
Yeah, I think it's really important that they come to realize what's going on and do something about it.
Mm, exactly. All right. So, thank you so much, Patricia. This has been amazing. And it brings me to this question, right? So, looking back, right, what would you say to your younger self about healing and self-worth?
Oh, wow. I would have said, golly, if you knew what was coming,
Mm,
um, yeah, I would have probably tried to do more to learn early on. I got my degree, my bachelor's degree late in life, and
mm,
then I got my master's degrees later than that, and then my doctoral degree just about 12 years ago. So I think I would have tried to get more education early on so that I would have been able to figure it out and make more sense of it early on than I was able to do.
mm, wow. Okay. All right, Patricia. Okay, so I'm so eager to know this particular one, right? So what are you currently focused on or hoping to achieve through your work and your book?
Well, I'm hoping that I can encourage people to recognize that this is an ongoing problem and that with the 68 seconds, every 68 seconds, that somebody's abused. I think that's really important that people are aware of that and pay attention to that and are willing to do something about it, whether it is, to participate in activities that are responsible for it or whatever. The month of April is Sexual Abuse Awareness Month.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
think it's really important that people get involved in the community and involved in the things that they are that are participating in order to try and bring this epidemic, if you will,
Mm,
to a halt.
exactly. Wow. Okay, so it's important to put it out there that the month of April is Sexual Abuse Awareness Month. So I think my listeners should know that. And also that it is important that we need to tackle these issues because it's a really traumatizing one. It needs to be tackled and solved. And like you said, every 68, I think it says 68 seconds, right? Someone is always abused, which is sad, honestly. And yes, I hope that one day this will end, hopefully, honestly. And we can only do our best as listeners to try and be self-aware, to be able to tell when we are in such situations and also how to navigate our way out of such situations. So, yes, thank you so much, Patricia. I feel like this conversation has been deeply meaningful and yes, thank you so much for it. And it brings me to this one, right? Where can listeners get to know more about you, connect with you, and also learn more about your book?
They can look at my website, which is patriciagrenelle.com. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Substack. So, any of those places, they can find more information, and especially the website, because on the website I have an item that if you sign up on the website, I'll send you a freebie, a
Hmm.
thing about how to deal with relationship issues.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be visiting your website after this actually. All right.
Good.
Yeah, I would love to actually. And so, thank you so much, Patricia. This brings me to the final segment of my podcast. It's called the Rapid Fire segment.
Okay.
All right, so starting now, what is one word that describes your journey?
Um, Harrowing.
Hmm. Wow. Okay. What is a belief you had to unlearn?
That women were play toys for men.
Hmm. Wow. Okay. All right. What is something people misunderstand about trauma?
I think they think that it can't be solved, that it's just there and you have to deal with it. It's there and you have to deal with it, but you can get better and you can progress and you can do more things in your life. You don't have to just be um, happy with that. You can be happier than you have been. You don't have to sit and say, okay, I've got complex PTSD and I can't do anything about it. You need to
Hmm.
get out and do something about it and be aware of it, get information about it, get education about it, and help others.
Hmm. Well, thank you so much for that one. And finally, what does strength mean to you?
What does strength mean to me?
Yes.
Um, it means resilience and being able to move on despite difficult situations.
Hmm. Okay. Resilience and being able to move on despite difficult situations. Wow.
Hmm.
Okay, Patricia, thank you so much. I feel like I've learned so much already, and I hope my listeners are gonna learn also and try to, live better lives. Thank you so much, Patricia. And
You're welcome.
all right, Patricia. So, to my listeners, thanks for tuning in to Conversations with Sekani. If this episode sparked something in you, make sure to share to someone you think might need this. And also subscribe so you don't miss out on new episodes. Wow. Okay, Patricia, thank you so much. This has been amazing. And yeah, I hope you have a good day ahead of it.
Thank you very much. And thank you for having me.
All right, you're welcome.